So, ladies and gentlemen, today what I would like to do is talk about the Switch 2. And this is not going to be one of those videos where we talk about all the bad things or the doom and gloom, right? But what I would like to do is talk about why the Switch 2 generation just feels so weird and feels like we're missing some steps or something, right? Because there are some issues and, you kind of can't ignore those. So that's what we're talking about today. Maybe some good stuff, some bad stuff, I'm not really sure. But let's talk about why the Switch 2 generation just feels a little off so far. Let's go and get right into this video. So first, the editing might be a little... Maybe it's normal, maybe it's not, but I finally got my new computer, so we just gotta let it ride, man. We're gonna figure this out as we go. But the Switch 2, it's fun. It's awesome. You know what's funny is, even though I play this console every single day, I've played so much retro games on it. Like, beat the Wind Waker, I'm about to beat the Minish Cap, some old Mario and Luigi stuff. I've been playing a lot of retro stuff, and new stuff as well, don't get me wrong. So, the Switch 2, I love it. But, it feels weird. Like, the generation feels off. And I'm gonna try to pinpoint that in this video. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep our communities growing. And let's just go and get right into this. So I guess one of the main topics of conversation with the Nintendo Switch 2, right? It was the major issue. It was like this and I guess the battery life, but you can just connect it to a charger, or maybe we'll get a refresh model in the future and then the battery will be better, potentially. But one issue that's probably going to be here the entire generation is game key cards. Now, I've already talked about it before, but at first I was saying, why does anybody care? You know, this is the same thing that PlayStation does. But then somebody told me actually that a lot of the PlayStation games are on the disc and you're just copying it from the disc. And a game key card, I now know there's nothing on it, right? So you have one handful of people who are saying, I'll never buy a game key card. Then you have some other people like me who are like, well, I just want to play these games, so I'll buy game key cards. And I like the fact that I can resell them in the future. But coming right out of the gate, when there's a new console, you almost tally up all your wins, right? You're like, wow, a bigger screen, better Joy-Cons, more power, better games. Prices are what they are. But then, on the other side, you have to tally up the bad things. And then the game key card almost outweighs some of the good things. So I feel like this is why the generation at least started off kind of strange. Now it does seem like Nintendo is manufacturing smaller cartridges and we're seeing more publishers utilize those, so that is cool. But still, we can't overlook, I guess, the bad juju that came with game key cards. But we have to look at this at both sides of one coin. Game key cards, they're not great. But we have to ask ourselves why we're even using game key cards. And that's because a lot of these third-party ports on the Switch 2, they're just too big. I think 64 gigabytes is the standard, and some of these ports are like 80, 90, 100 gigabytes. But this is another thing I want to talk about during this generation, because this will lead us into another topic. We're getting a lot of great third-party ports this generation, and I'm not going to talk about the sizes of those ports right now. I just want to talk about the quality of them. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cyberpunk, Pragmata, Resident Evil Requiem. We have Final Fantasy Rebirth coming out in June, which just got a demo the day I'm recording this video. And there's a bunch of other great third-party ports I'm sure I'm missing right now. But when we look at these great third-party ports, and then we look back on the Switch, this was not a possibility. Now don't get me wrong, we did get some great ports on the Switch. Like I think Skyrim was great on the Switch. I think Wolfenstein 2 was great. The Doom port. What is that space game called? No Man's Sky, I think that was a fantastic port. So we got some great ports on the Switch. And then stuff like The Witcher 3, which was cool, but probably a little bit better on another console. On the Switch 2, we are seeing games come out day one, the same day as other consoles, and that is insane. Like sometimes we would probably get these ports, or maybe we would get them, but definitely not day one. You're talking down the line 3-4 months if we ever get them at all. So when we look at all these great ports we're getting on the Switch 2 and the third-party support, I almost feel like Nintendo is intentionally saying, look, let's only focus on the third party right now. Look at all these amazing games. We want to highlight how much better the Switch 2 is than the Switch. And with first party stuff, yes, you can tell, but I feel like you can tell more with third party. And that will lead us into the next topic, what seems like the lack of a Nintendo Direct or Nintendo Directs. The last first party Direct we got was in, I'm just guessing here, but I want to say September. And the last partner showcase we got was in February. And it seems like, at least to me, that we're probably going to get another partner showcase here in the next few weeks, because we've seen like 20 something games leak out through ratings boards and trademarks and everything. And these are some pretty big games, so it just seems like there's going to be another partner showcase. So while we're waiting to have that partner showcase and then potentially another Nintendo Direct, the first party one in June, Nintendo's just putting out stuff on the Nintendo Today app, or they're just dropping random trailers on YouTube and having little announcements on Twitter. And this feels strange. And the reason why is Nintendo is truly focusing on the third-party support. Because, let's split it down the line. We have the Switch 2 on this side and the Switch on this side. What was selling the Switch? Well, first-party games were selling the Switch. You know, yes, we'd get third-party ports. We had a bunch of indies. But first party is why you are buying a Switch, and it was awesome. Now, you have to make a choice sometimes because consoles are so expensive and gaming is a luxury and things are not getting cheaper. And even the Switch 2 is going to get a price increase at some point. So if you can only buy one console right now, you can only go buy PS5 or maybe a Switch 2. And you see these third-party games are going to the Switch 2 as well. Well, you'll probably just buy a Switch 2 because you're getting third party as well as the first party stuff eventually. And I really think this is the reason why things are going the way they are. And we have the lack of first party directs currently. Now, I do think there's another big thing that happened recently. I feel like this filled up about a month of announcements, and that is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Because, you know, to us, it's just a movie. You know, hey, there's 1,000 movies coming out every day. It is what it is. Even though it's Nintendo and it's Mario and it's really cool, to a lot of us, it's just another movie. But to Nintendo, this is a big risk. This is a big gamble. And we got like multiple Super Mario Bros. Movie directs. This was a main feature of the 40th anniversary of Mario. Maybe we would have got a Nintendo Direct this month, right? I'm pretty sure the movie came out at the beginning of this month. But instead, we got the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's really cool that Nintendo is branching out and doing movies, because we have the Zelda movie coming out next year, and then it's official that there's another movie coming out in 2028, which is probably going to be the Donkey Kong movie. So this is cool, but now this is going to start taking, you know, some eyes off what a Nintendo Direct would be, and now Nintendo has to divide it up. It's like, hey, we got to focus on the games, but now we're also making movies. And that is strange, especially when you have a brand new console that you want to promote as much as possible. Now, another thing I think is affecting the Switch 2 generation, it's not a bad thing, and I will be honest, I actually expected this to have a little bit more of an impact, but the Nintendo Switch was so damn popular. So when the Switch 2 launched, you know, if there was no games that launched that you just had to play, which to me there really wasn't, but you know me, I'm getting it day one, there's no reason to upgrade to your Switch 2 yet. So Nintendo knows that. They sold over 150 million Switches. Let's just say right now 20 million Switch 2s are sold, which is incredible. There's still over 100 million people just playing on their Switch. And even if they wanted to upgrade, life is expensive, man. You know, not everybody has $500 of disposable income. And I think Nintendo understands that. So they also have to focus on putting out Switch games. Now, I know they put out a statement maybe a few months ago saying that they want to start focusing on the Switch 2, which is cool. But, you know, arguably one of the biggest games of the year, which is breaking records, and I cannot wait to see the sales numbers at the next earning report. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is dominating right now. It sold over 500,000 copies alone in Japan. And those numbers are like a week old. So this game dominated, truly dominated, and it's a Switch game. Now, I know we have Rhythm Heaven Groove coming up, which I don't think will have as big as an impact as Tomodachi Life. You know, you never know, but I don't think it's going to do even a tenth of what Tomodachi Life probably did. But do you really think those are the last Switch games? No. You know, there's probably going to be a couple remakes. Maybe we get those elusive Wind Waker or Twilight HD ports, and those are dual released on the Switch and Switch 2, or there's going to be something else, I'm sure. So then you have to ask yourself, what is a Nintendo Direct, like a first party one, going to be for in the future? Is it strictly only for the Nintendo Switch 2? Or is it 20 or 30% Switch stuff and then only Switch 2? Is it still going to be Switch and Switch 2 for the next year? Because I'm trying to go back and think about how it was for the 3DS and the Switch in like that first year, maybe even first 2 years. So this makes this generation kind of strange as well. It's not like coming from the Wii U to the Switch. A lot of Switch games can be played on the Switch too. So these consoles still feel like they're one and the same. So that creates an interesting relationship with the Switch 2. So much that Nintendo knows, like a lot of us are still playing the Switch or are buying Switch games. So they even did that boost mode on the Switch 2 for Switch games. And now I feel like people are buying more Switch games than Switch 2 games. So does that trick Nintendo and make them think that they need to release even more Switch games in the future because Switch games are still selling incredibly well? I don't know. Like, I really can't even wrap my head around what the hell that even means moving forward. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about the price of the Switch 2, saying it is what it is. And all things considered, I think $450 for a hybrid console, it is impressive as it is. I don't want to say it's cheap or affordable, but I do think it's fair with the current market and with inflation. And then we have to remember, on top of all this, we had tariffs as well. Even though they were deemed illegal, this was right when the Switch 2 generation was, I guess, about to start, like pre-orders were starting. So before the Switch 2 generation even officially started, and we were just talking about pre-orders, tariffs hit. Like, yeah, this whole situation is weird. But let's put the console and accessories and amiibos price to the side and just say it's expensive, and that sucks. But the games, dude, games are so damn expensive. We've seen $80 a few times now for like Zelda, which is crazy, Mario Kart, even Switch 2 editions of Switch games. $80 is just insane. Now I have to be honest and say it is awesome that variable pricing seems like it's a real thing that's starting with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. And with Splatoon Raiders, it's even going to be cheaper, like $60 and $50. That's awesome. I need to highlight that because I'm very happy that is happening. But just because we're getting cheaper games does not mean we're not getting super expensive games as well. And everything we've talked about in this video has to be packaged collectively together. All of this, in my opinion, is why the Switch 2 generation just feels so strange. I don't want to say Nintendo is fumbling the bag here, or Nintendo is messing up this generation, or the Switch 2 is failing or falling short. I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers, and that's not what I'm here to do. But I am here to say things just feel strange, and I think a lot of the stuff I talked about in this video is the reason why, and I'm sure there's other stuff I missed, but it's definitely a weird time in gaming, just in general. So I just wanted to talk about it. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, truly, I would love to hear what you think about the Switch 2 generation so far. Are you enjoying it? Do you have a Switch 2? Are you going to get one? Can you not afford one? Are you going to skip it? Are you happy with game key cards? Are you buying all digital? Just talk about this generation so far, because I think there's an important conversation to be had there. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you made it to this part of the video, if you could do me a favor, hit a like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter on the way out, and consider becoming a channel member, because we're going to be streaming every single week. I got my brand new computer right here. I got to set it up. But as soon as I do, we'll be streaming. So I'd love to see you guys over there. And you guys know me, I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.